Have you ever had that feeling that someone was hiding something from you? We're not talking about internet rumors or backyard conspiracy theories. We're talking about official documents, public hearings, and slip-ups from former high-ranking agents. For decades, the US government denied, covered up, distorted. Meanwhile, UFOs crossed our skies uninvited, with reports coming from pilots, scientists, civilians, all silenced with that political knack for sweeping it under the rug. The strangest part? Now they're starting to talk. Not because they want to, but because they can't hide it anymore. The pressure has increased, the evidence piled up, and the public has woken up. But why only now? Why did the silence last so long? What's behind this curtain that's finally starting to lift? It might sound crazy, but the truth about aliens is closer than you think. And when it fully surfaces, it will change everything: your faith, your science, your history, and maybe your place in the universe. If you think you know something about UFOs, wait until you learn what was really covered up. What you're going to discover here isn't in textbooks or mainstream news. This is the kind of information few dare to investigate, and even fewer dare to admit. But today you'll learn what they hid from you, and you'll never look at the sky the same way again. For years, sightings of UFOs have been dismissed as fantasies, illusions, or overactive imaginations. Pilots, soldiers, and even astronauts gave testimonials, but were quickly silenced or ridiculed. Behind the scenes, though, the US government was taking it all very seriously. Secret programs, classified meetings, and special task forces were created just to monitor the skies. And this wasn't about stargazing. This was about national security, airspace violations, and technologies that didn't come from around here. The curious thing is how these actions were never publicized. Documents were classified, testimonies were suppressed, and radar images simply disappeared. It wasn't until pressure from former officials and freedom of information laws started to pile up that something began to crack. The truth began to slip through the cracks like light through a worn-out curtain. UFOs weren't just real, they were being studied. And more than that, they were being hidden. This secrecy was no accident. The US government didn't want panic, didn't want questions, and especially didn't want to admit it didn't have control. Because that's what this is all about, control. If something is flying over your head and your best fighter jet can't keep up, how do you explain that to the public? You don't. You hide it, you classify it, you call it a weather balloon, and you make sure no one digs deeper. Some reports are so detailed, so consistent, that denying them outright would be intellectual suicide. Military pilots describing objects that accelerate at impossible speeds, make 90-degree turns with no inertia, and vanish from radar in seconds. These aren't bored civilians making things up. These are trained professionals, flying multi-million-dollar machines, with their lives on the line. And they saw what they saw, and often, what they saw didn't come from Earth. The technology involved in many of these UFO sightings defies known physics. Imagine an object hovering silently without any visible propulsion system, and then accelerating from 0 to 10,000 in a blink. No sonic boom, no exhaust, just gone. Scientists and engineers, when allowed to analyze the footage, often scratch their heads. And some quietly say, this isn't human, at least not from any human tech we publicly know about. And that's when things get interesting. Because if these objects are real, and if they're not ours, then whose are they? That question has echoed through underground briefings and black budget meetings in the US government for decades. And while the public was entertained by alien comedies and sci-fi blockbusters, behind closed doors, the truth was being dissected, hidden, and stored in facilities that officially don't even exist. The most fascinating and at the same time unsettling thing is how the presence of UFOs has slipped into our daily lives without most people realizing it. While you're busy paying bills and chasing deadlines, objects are crossing the sky at absurd speeds, defying gravity and laughing at the laws of physics. The US government knows this. And more than knowing, they have records, videos, and high-end sensors that captured it all. The real question is, what are they going to do with that information? And how will that change how we see the world and live in it? Some experts believe that full disclosure of alien existence would completely shake the foundations of power, religion, and science. Imagine religions revising thousand-year-old beliefs, education systems rewriting textbooks, and governments, Well, they'd have to deal with a population demanding answers they've been denied for decades. The biggest fear, perhaps, isn't about aliens themselves, but the collapse that public recognition of their existence could cause. And let's be honest, this slow drip of information isn't accidental. What if this is all part of a bigger plan? A slow psychological, cultural, and social prep for something that's coming. Like training the collective mind to accept the unacceptable. First with movies, then with TV shows, then with official reports. Until the extraordinary becomes ordinary. And while most still associate the term UFO with fiction, there are people studying reverse engineering of non-human tech in bunkers that don't even show up on maps. Sounds exaggerated? Then tell me this. Why does the US government keep funding secret hackers with budgets no one can explain? With so much coming to light, it's no surprise that theories about alien intentions are bubbling up everywhere. Some say the aliens are mere observers, like scientists in a giant lab called Earth. Others believe there have been direct contacts with governments, especially the US government, and that certain deals were made in the shadows. Like, we give you tech, you give us access. Sounds like a movie script. Maybe. But take a look at the testimonies from military officials who swear they witnessed meetings that were far from human. And between us, who knows what was exchanged there? What's most intriguing is the technological gap between us and them. While we're still fighting over oil and bickering in comment sections, they, the supposed visitors, are crossing galaxies like we catch the subway. It messes with your head, right? And maybe that gap is exactly why they haven't revealed themselves openly. Maybe we're just not ready. And from what it looks like, the US government thinks the same. Or maybe they're just trying to hold on to a secret even they don't fully understand. But here comes the question that nags even the skeptics. If these beings are here, what do they want? Are they studying us, protecting us, monitoring, interfering? Hard to pin down, but one thing is clear: we're no longer alone in this story. UFOs are just the surface of something much bigger, deeper, something involving civilizations, history, power, and perhaps the future of humanity. And if you look closely, you'll notice the puzzle pieces are starting to fit, and that leads us straight to the next point. With all that's been revealed, and what's still to come, one thing is clear: lazy skepticism is running out of steam. That old attitude of "this is movie stuff" can't stand in the face of documents, videos, and testimonies being released by the US government itself. It feels like we're slowly entering a new era of awareness. And like any change of era, it starts in the background, far from the spotlight. What used to be a bar joke is now serious material for official hearings. UFOs aren't just real. They're forcing us to rethink the way we understand the universe. And when I talk about change, I don't just mean philosophical. This shakes geopolitics, tech investments, the future of work, energy, transportation. If there really is alien tech influencing us directly or indirectly, the machinery of our world will need a total overhaul. There are people studying this seriously: independent researchers, international think tanks, even major aerospace companies. Elon Musk might know more than he lets on. And if you want to stay ahead, you should already be watching these developments closely. Now here's the thing. Despite all this proof piling up, mainstream media still treats the topic like Sunday night entertainment. But what if that trivialization is deliberate? A way to keep us distracted while the board game shifts completely? The US government plays a strategic chess game here. They know what to show, when to show it, and most importantly, what to hide. And us? We wait for the next piece to drop, as if this were just another sci-fi storyline. But it's not. And this opens the door to the most intriguing question of all. What if all this is just the beginning? Have you considered that the documents, videos, and testimonies released so far are just the tip of the iceberg? When the US government admits, even timidly, that it can't identify certain objects and that yes, some show non-human technology, what they're not saying screams even louder. It's no longer about belief. It's about witnessing a historic process unfold. And UFOs are far from just lights in the sky. They're becoming central pieces in a narrative that redefines who we are. Some say the next step is total disclosure. Undeniable, public confirmation of alien presence on Earth. But that won't happen in a snap. It'll be a gradual process, with fragmented leaks, shocking interviews, and that old tactic of getting people used to the idea. In the meantime, you, who are in the loop, have a huge advantage. You can study ahead, position yourself better, connect the dots with quantum physics, ancient civilizations, and even religion, and that's not an exaggeration. There are pastors, rabbis, and scientists reinterpreting their own doctrines in light of what's emerging. Here's the truth. The real power is in those who observe, question, and act. Most of the population is still on autopilot, waiting for someone to tell them what's true. But those who study, seek, and connect the dots, they're ahead of their time. And maybe, just maybe, that's what the aliens are waiting for. A collective awakening. A kind of proof that we've finally matured as a civilization. What comes next? Well, that story's still being written. And you get to choose whether you'll just watch it or be part of it. After all this, the question remains, what will you do with this knowledge? Keep living like nothing happened, like the US government isn't opening its secret files right before your eyes. Or take control, ask more, study more, and make space in your mind for a reality much bigger than what you were told. The revelation of UFOs and aliens isn't just about out there. It's about who we are, where we are, and most importantly, where we're going. Maybe it's time to question some certainties. Don't you think? If aliens are among us, what else might be true and has been hidden? What's the next step? What can you start studying today, so you're not just another lost spectator when the next truths come out? Start small, research reliable sources, read about UAPs, follow US congressional hearings. You don't have to become an expert overnight. Just stop living in the whatever zone. And if you want to keep diving into the topics nobody dares to touch, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. Because if you made it this far, it means you're part of a rare group, those who seek the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. And I promise you one thing, this is just the beginning. Are you ready to find out what else they hid from you?